The speed and pace of globalization and its consequences in the last 2 decades has been truly remarkable. Over the last 2 decades, the world has witnessed unprecedented economic growth. Net private capital flows to developing countries reached a record $1 trillion in 2007. Foreign direct investment rose to 32% of world GDP in 2007. With China, Russia, Brazil, and Mexico amongst the top 10 beneficiaries. International trade flourished. Developing countries opened up their economies, increased exports, gained market share in global trade. And the ratio of goods and services trade to global GDP rose 62% in 2 decades. But we must not forget that many were also left out. Over 1 billion people lived in extreme poverty in 2005, and today, at the new estimate of $1.25 a day, we have 1.4 billion people living in poverty. And at $2 a day, 2.6 billion. And with this financial crisis, the distance from the American suburbs to the copper mines in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the factories in China, the banks in Hungary, and the hotels in Lima has disappeared. From Wall Street to Main Street and No Street, we're all affected by the crisis. And Martin Luther King could not have said it better when he said, whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. So all this is to say that a harsh reality for the developing world is that slowing growth and higher poverty levels has devastating consequences. History tells us that when we have such crises and such slowdowns, babies suffer. We are estimating that from 1.4 to 2.8 million more babies could die in developing countries between now and 2015 if the crisis persists. In the face of these numbers, we have an obligation, a moral responsibility to act. We cannot let women and children suffer, babies die, or allow a situation in which our children are left unattended. We know that the first 2 years of a child's life are the most important for future growth and productivity. So we need to sound the alarm about the human cost of this crisis. We do not want it to lead to a lost global generation. And so we must act now. We must act to secure the future of our children. We must put in place adequate systems to minimize reoccurrences of such crises and systems to manage them and minimize them when they occur. Maybe we can borrow from Schumpeter's theory of creative destruction and consider that this crisis offers opportunity for fundamental renewal and the possibility of a more rapid, inclusive, and responsible growth over the next decade. As Hillary Clinton said a few days ago, let's not waste a good global crisis.